What's going on, Cats fans? The Pussies had a big win over the Bombers. How good is it? I'm joined on this episode by the one and only Rob from the Herbatron channel on YouTube. Welcome, Rob. How you feeling, mate? How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay, considering.
Okay, yeah. So the loss didn't hurt you too hard?
No, not at all.
You know, mate, I have to thank you for coming on this show after a loss. It is, I think, we had an opposition supporter come on immediately after a loss. I don't think we have. We've had other opposition supporters come on the show before, but not the day of a game after a loss. So hats off to you, mate. You've done a really good job there. What were your thoughts? Did you go to the game? Did you watch it on the telly? So how did you consume the contest?
I watched it at home.
Yep.
I haven't been able to get to many games lately, but I live in the country as well, so it makes it a bit hard. But it's kind of the game for me.
Country game.
Being the country game.
Country round.
Right.
That's it.
So I was really amped and hyped up for that.
Were you amped?
No, I wasn't really, but I just watched it at home on TV. I watched it. It's usually how I watch the game.
Beautiful. And did you enjoy watching a certain country boy from Finley go absolutely bonkers on your mob? Was that enjoyable too, or is it not? Maybe not so much.
It was expected, but I don't know. I'm happy for him. Like, I'm not that upset. Like, he got a career high in goals. I don't know. He had a good day. He had
a great day.
It's really hard to be upset today.
Nah, look, I'll get into it in a second, but the Bombers played pretty well, considering take away that first quarter, the first bit. Bombers were pretty handy for the day. Cats. What do we win by? 28 points in the end. It was a bit closer in the end than what I thought it was. It was nice to see both teams kick 100 points, so that was always good. I think the Cats have kicked 120 points 4 weeks in a row now. It did have a bit of a look at that. I'm not sure if this is your era or not, but the Gary Ablett Senior versus Paul Salmon, in that Tommy Hawkins had 8 and what was the other bloke from
Wiedemann?
Wiedemann had 5 from your end, and another bloke kicked 4 as well.
Yeah.
We'll get to him in a minute. But yeah, it wasn't quite like that, but that's probably as good as it gets these days, isn't it, in the AFL? 8 goals is pretty rare, and I
would compare Sam Wiedemann to Gary Ablett Senior.
Yeah. He's like
maybe Paul Salmon.
Paul Salmon. Well, he kicked half as much as Paul Salmon had that day. Every time the Cats play the Bombers, they talk about that game, don't they? But
a little bit before my time, but not that far.
No.
I've definitely heard about it.
Now, did you? We had a late out before the game. Zach Tui, I think he had a sore back, so he didn't get to play. And in came for us Mitch Nevitt, who I think's a young fella. Looks like the bully from Karate Kid Part 1. He's played his 4th game.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah, that guy. He just needs a red jacket on and drive a convertible on the beach or a motorbike on the beach. He came in, and Tanner Brune was our recruit from GWS. He started as the sub, but it didn't take long for him to come on. Now, did you have any big injuries? I know your ruckman, the 2 metre Peter's out for a bit, but any big injuries in your end, or was it pretty much?
Yeah, well, Laverty got injured last week. He's out for, I think, 5 weeks. So
that's right.
That's killing us. We just don't have any other options at the moment.
Yeah, that makes it really
Tom
hard.
Hawkins.
Hence Tom Hawkins. It's we're just, our forwards are just having a bit of a laugh at the moment with last week with Sydney. Oh, not last week. Maybe it was last week. Yeah, no defence against us, and this week, Tommy Hawkins. Let's talk about Tommy just a little bit. We won't spend the whole show talking about Tommy Hawkins, but we have to acknowledge the fact that he kicked 8 goals, a career best, and in the process joins the 750 goal club as well. So it's going to go close. Tommy will go close to 800, I reckon. There's some people. Paul, my co-host, thinks he'll play on next year. I don't know. What do you think Tom will do towards the end of the year? Do you reckon he can probably go again, but do you think he will go again? What are your what's your read?
It depends. It depends how you go. It depends how you finish the year. If you get a deep run into finals, then maybe not. I don't know what his body's like now, but 7 rounds in, he's looking great. So
now he's looking
5
good
in the Coleman, I think now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's looking fantastic now, but he was very, very slow to start the year. He was coming back. Didn't really have much of a preseason after some foot surgery and starting to come good now.
So he just came good for us.
Correct. Yeah, no, he timed it perfectly for the Bombers. It was great. Talk about Brandon Zirk Thatcher. What do they call him? BZT or BZT?
BZT.
Yeah, his nickname. Poor bugger. Even as Geelong supporters, we were feeling bad for the guy. He was getting ragdolled here, there, and everywhere, and not a great.
It's a tough lesson for him. Like, it's a lesson, but he's had a lot of these lessons already in his career. He's so like green still.
Yeah.
He just like getting flogged like that it's tough. It's tough for him, and they had no other option.
What are you gonna do?
He just had nobody else, so it was really tough for him, and I feel bad for him. But yeah, it's happened. I'm sure it's happened to most great defenders.
I was going to say there was a Geelong player, you might have heard of him before, called Matthew Scarlett. He didn't set the world on fire in his first couple of games. I remember him playing against Matthew Lloyd and absolutely got towed up. And I was like, who's this Matthew Scarlett prick? Get rid of him. He's no good. Send him back to the toes. Since then, I've reined it in a little bit, mate, on having to go Geelong players after 3 or 4 games.
I was at the game where Buddy ran down the boundary against Cale Hooker.
Yeah.
So like I've seen it happen to early on in their career, and then they go on to do great things and be an All-Australian, and so they can turn it around. Like young defenders, they take a lot of time. So
fingers crossed for him, because you do worry about those types of games where they absolutely get their pants pulled down, and are they going to recover from it? And I did feel, again, I think I mentioned to you off air, I felt that maybe the coaches threw him under the bus a little bit. But again, you said, what are they supposed to do? Like, you didn't really have anyone else. So
it didn't come as a shock to me, but yeah, it's hard seeing him get that many goals kicked against him, and just being manhandled, and
Oh, look, mate, there was a bloke on your end, on your team, who had, I think he had about 28 touches or something like that, 4 goals, 11 clearances. Any other game, that's probably getting you 3 Brownlow votes. The package, if it wasn't for Tom Hawkins and another bloke called Paddy Dangerfield, he probably would have gone close to the 3 votes. Who knows? Maybe they haven't had the Brownlow night yet, so we'll see what the umpires vote. But you'd be a brave person to pick Tommy Hawkins not to take home the 3 votes. But yeah, unfortunate. The package played very well, and I can tell you from us Geelong supporters, he probably frustrates you a little bit at times. I imagine he would, but he puts the fear. He's a bit like DeGoey. He puts the fear into you a lot as an opposition. He can break a game open.
He's my favourite player by far. Like, ever since he came over, even before that. Like, I just love him. I'm wearing his signed jersey that he signed for me. Oh, nice.
Yes, very good.
During the COVID year, we got like the choice of refunding our membership for a signed jersey, and I got Jake Stringer.
Wow.
It took longer because he must have had a massive line because he's so great. But he's just doing Paco things. Yeah. That's just like what he can do. And now he's getting a bit more fitness. He can do that thing. That's what he does now, like more regularly, hopefully. See how he goes next week.
If you can keep him fit, he's going to be quite an interesting option for you boys. And if you can get a few other blokes around him as well, bobbing up. Who was it? Nick Martin. I think he kicked 4 or 5 on us last time, didn't he? In his first game or something.
He did.
Yeah, I think he had about 22 touches today, but didn't have the same influence, obviously. But he wasn't. He did well. Yeah, like round 1 last year, it was one of those high-scoring games. Just don't worry about the defenders. Just let the forwards have a good old field day, which is what we like with these Geelong Essendon games, don't we? We like these high-scoring. Let's have some bloke kick 10 goals. Let's have another bloke kick 14. In this case, it was Tommy and the Weed. But anyway,
people come to see forwards.
Yeah,
people come to see the key forward kick goals.
Exactly.
They don't come to see someone get 20 contested possessions.
No.
Even though it's great, it's hard to do. But you want to see big forwards, power forwards dominate the game.
In space, ragdoll on a young bloke. That's what you want to see.
I'm sure it was entertaining.
Tell you what, mate, it did remind me a lot of when Tommy Hawkins' coming out party in 2011 grand final when he was ragdoll on a bloke called Ben Reed. just
Oh,
in
yeah.
that third quarter, and just absolutely. Cameron Mooney went off with injury. I know he wasn't playing, and Podsy Adley got injured, popped his shoulder out or
J-Pod.
whatever, and Tommy's like, well, I better do something here, and he's never looked back. I think he's kicked leading goal kicker at Geelong 11 years in a row since then. And if Jeremy Cameron gets injured again, who knows? He's not far off him now. So, but Jezza kicked his 3 goals, I think it was, and he's tied with Charlie Curnow, who had 9 goals. I couldn't believe it when I looked at that the other night. 9 goals. So interesting race for the Coleman at the end of the year. Who knows what will happen there? I would be surprised if Jessa missed a couple of games just to be conservative and save him for the end of the year if that's where
right,
things are trending. Speaking of end of the year, though, I don't know if you know, but in my pre-season video, I tipped the Bombers. Well, in that video, I tipped the Bombers to finish top 4. And I haven't walked it. Well, I've walked it back a little bit. I've now got them in the top 8. But everyone, my co-host Paul's giving me shit, and I'm like, no, I'm sticking with this. I reckon the Bombers are going to be the team that makes the jump. And up until, I don't know, not long to go in the last quarter last week, I was looking pretty good. But gone downhill a little bit since then. I found themselves a little bit out of the 8 now. But what do you think for the rest of the year, though, about the Bombers? And are you happy with what you've seen so far?
I did a couple of spots on videos for other people on YouTube, and I said in each one I would consider it a success if we won 5 games.
Oh wow!
This year we've won 4 already, so that was my expectation. I'm really low. After everything that happened in the off season, I was just whatever. Seriously, it's just a development year. But yeah, they've gone above and beyond that. So for the rest of the year, we've got such a tough run. Now, we've had Melbourne, Collingwood, Geelong. We were the top 3 in the betting for winning the grand final. So we've had a tough run. Yeah. We beat Melbourne, so I think finals are realistic still. But yeah, I don't bet on top 4.
No, I think
definitely not.
Yeah, look, I looked at my pick of Essendon wasn't just a hunch. It was I looked at the fixture and I thought, yeah, a couple of things go their way. They'll win that game, they'll win this game, and I'm a big believer in form helps the side gather, build momentum, and I think if you can turn 6 weeks into a season and be 4-2, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and that probably helps you win extra games down the track. But if you start really poorly, then the opposite's true, that you're probably not going to win too many games beyond that point. So if you can get some form going, I think it makes a big difference. And that's where I was probably coming from with my pick on Essendon. And I thought, the first month looks not too bad. So I was not shocked that they were doing so well. The real test is, and I'm sure you probably agree, and you've sort of touched on it, is that what's it going to look like from here on in? Because some of these younger teams, or teams that have had some tricky off seasons, they can bob up and surprise you early, but the real stuff happens probably between round 6 and round 16. That's where the teams sort of sort themselves out a little bit, and there's not a lot of change. Probably from now round 7 to round 8, not really a lot of change in the top 8. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you guys hold on, only because I want to look good. That's the only reason.
I think our draw is good. I think we have West Coast twice and North twice.
Don't drop one of those ones. Do not drop one of those games because
if we lose to North, I'm just gonna quit.
It'd rip your heart out if that happened, wouldn't it?
I'll keep my Jake Stringer jersey, but everything else will go. Everything else.
Oh, now we kind of touched on Paddy Dangerfield, so let's bring it back to Geelong for a second. We touched on Danger. Now, for the eye test for you, did you think Danger played pretty well, and did you know that he only played about half a game of footy today? He played about 64% time on ground.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was, other than Hawkins, the best player.
Yeah.
He was great. He was just, I don't know. I've seen him play like that.
Yeah.
But I felt I didn't know if he could still do it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But he just dominated.
He's finding a way.
He was everywhere and just getting it inside 50. I don't know how many goals he set up for Hawkins, as in passed it to him, but it would have been a lot.
Yeah.
He was just pumping it in there, just relentless. And then obviously he didn't play the whole game. So
no, I was
not
surprised.
Even just over half of it.
Yeah, it was other than the two or the guy that got subbed off and Jack Bowes and Tanner Bruno came on, and I think Gary Rowan might have played slightly less, but he was off getting checked out for an injury at one point as well, even though he did come back on. But other than that, it was, barely played. So it's going to be interesting if that's the way the coaches manage this old retirement home that is Geelong for the rest of the year. I think it's going to be...
It works.
It works. I mean, last year they kind of rested players every fourth week. Okay, Joel's time for a rest. Tommy Hawkins, you're due a rest, that kind of thing. But we haven't had the luxury of that this time around because of all the injuries that we've had. So they've probably taken a slightly different approach. But maybe it'd be worth keeping an eye on it. As a Geelong supporter, I definitely will be. As to time on ground, how much game time each of these older players play. And I reckon you'll see a lot of these younger guys playing the bulk of the game and some of it. And the older guys being used in bursts. Which
just in a burst. Like
Paddy's a burst player. He's great when he can do that. So if it works, and you want Paddy to have 20 really effective touches, not to be smashing him for 120 minutes, and he's not really.
Because there were so many goals. Like I think there was a lot of centre bounce kind of opportunities for him to get the ball out, and because there were so many of those, maybe it kind of helped him.
That's a great observation.
But as you said, bursts. Like he was just getting it out of the middle at will. Like it was. I don't know. Like I don't want to say it was a joy to watch because I go for Essendon, but it was. I don't know. It's good to see good players playing well.
Who's your burst player? And you can't decide whether he's a forward or a mid, but the package is kind of a similar. He hasn't probably got the same speed, but you cannot tackle that bloke if he's decided to go on a run. Mm-hmm. Like he will shrug you off. I'm just trying to think of another burst player from the Bombers in recent years. Whether you've had one, it hasn't really been.
No one can think of. It's usually midfielders that go one way.
Yeah. Darcy Parish played pretty well. We'll get to some ticks and crosses in a second, but Darcy Parish is a name that keeps popping up at Geelong. He's a former Geelong Falcon kid, got connections to the area. Is it a contract year for him or something like that? I think so.
It is.
It is. Are you nervous? Did you think he played well? And B, are you nervous that he may not want to sign? Or what are your thoughts on him?
I think he played really well. He got a lot of the footy. I'm worried about he doesn't get enough tackles. For my liking. Yep. But you don't need every player to get tackles, but just some. Like sometimes I don't know how many he had today, but he had 38 touches or something like that.
He gets the ball a lot. Does he use it well? Again, I'm watching Geelong most of the time. I'm not always.
He hasn't blown me away with his foot disposal. I know he just gets. I'd have to look at the stats, but I think he gets a lot of handball. But he's a great player. I'm not going to deny that he's not a great player, and he was one of our best today. So I would obviously want him to stay. But would he? It depends how the team goes. I suppose it depends if he's happy with Brad Scott, if he's happy with the setup of off the field at Essendon, because it was so toxic last year.
Hasn't been great for a few years. But,
if they can convince him there, I think he'll stay. But if he doesn't see any improvement, then he might leave.
Well, for your sake, I hope he stays. Clearly, we want to poach every half decent player down to get him down the highway. So, but look at part of me also thinks, well, it's great when a player sticks with their club all the way through their career. You like to see that sort of stuff, but if he's going to go anywhere, if he's going to leave, well, I hope he comes to us. There's a lot of Geelong supporters that probably don't want him though, and maybe for those reasons that he's great at accumulating the footy. I wouldn't say he's top 5 in the comp with his disposal, and he's probably way down the list in terms of his the defensive side of his game. He's good. He's good one direction, maybe not so good chasing the footy. As you said, he doesn't maybe tackle as much as what you want him to, and he hasn't really added a lot of size. He's probably been the same size player. Maybe that's sort of the way he gets around the ground a lot. He doesn't seem to be putting on that muscle that you want to be seeing in those guys that are around 6 or 7 years into their career. I'm not sure how many years he's played now, but he's coming up to around that midpoint of his career, I'd say.
Yes. Yeah. I can't remember when he was.
No, I can't remember
either. With Aaron Francis. Yeah, no. I remember he and Francis got, I think it was 5 and 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's a great player. I don't want him to go. I think if I was going to get like a figure on it, I would say like 80% he's staying.
Yep.
20% he might leave.
Okay.
So there's a little chance there, but I think the more the season goes on and the more stability he sees, it'll get a better chance of him signing. Because I think Brad Scott's just turned the place around, as far as I can see.
Did you know, Rob, that Brad Scott and Chris Scott are twin brothers? Did you know that?
No.
You didn't. You didn't know that because the TV doesn't tell you enough, do they?
No. And
it's like
one of them has a beard, so it's confusing.
Oh goodness, I am sick of hearing. It's like Pendlebury and his basketball background every single time. Oh, can we just give it a rest?
They get a little crib sheet of notes, like just these like little dot points. Like, oh, it's a Collingwood game. Let's talk about Pendles.
Let's talk about Pendles again. Oh my god, yeah.
Oh,
so apparently they are
related.
They share the same mother, and they were born within minutes of each other. So if you haven't heard that before, now you have. Thank you very much. We'll move on. Now on this show, mate, we like to do some ticks and crosses after a game. Clearly, after a win, we see a lot more ticks and crosses. I usually put the call out on Twitter and to all the Cats Twitter and let me know what they're thinking. And sometimes they give me some, they're hard on a player or two, and other times they're like, no, I got it wrong. You know, Gryan Miers is the best thing since sliced bread now. Gryan Miers was a bit of a whipping boy for us for a few years now, but he's turned a few people around in recent years. Probably he's cut the dreads off a little bit, so that's changed his game. I don't know. Yep. What did you like before we get into the Twitter comments? What did you like from a Bombers supporter's point of view about your mob today? What are some of the good things that you saw?
They didn't let the game just get absolutely blown out of proportion. I don't know what to say. Like it could have got to, the way it started, it was just ridiculous, and it could have been an easy 10+ goal win. But the way they just kept fighting back, get it to 4 goals, get it to 5 goals, it goes back out to 8, and then you bring it back to 5 or something. That I didn't see at all last year. So that was massive improvement. And then, the game of Parrish, the game of Wiedemann, and just being able to score still on a team like this. And like that's what one of our big things has been this year, is just being able to score. Even though we don't have our leading goal kicker from last year, in Peter Wright, we still can score over 100 points regularly, which is great. And so that would be the positives, I would say, from today.
Well, there's clearly you didn't get the win, and that'll always be in the cross column. But was there anything you really didn't like from today? Was it whether it be the game style thing or an individual player that you want to pot? Don't go too hard because we try to be nice to the players on this show. But you can give a fair opinion. I do.
Look, I've had my fair share of like Carl Langford slander, and there's definitely whipping boys there. Dyson Happel.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy doing it, and I'm not doing it today.
Yeah.
But just turning the ball over, especially in our defensive half, was just ridiculous today. It was the amount of goals that were gifted. Just a handball over the shoulder to Dangerfield, and then he kicks it straight to Tom Hawkins, and I'm not going to say the player.
No.
And then like just I'll say this player so you know which. It was Mason Redmond kicked it across goal. He got the ball. He turned back inside and kicked it across goal to nobody. And that cost us a goal. So stuff like that, just defensive half, like intercepts, turnovers, killed us. So that would be a massive cross.
And I know what it's like, and I know Geelong's been very competitive for many years, but there's often one or two teams that are absolutely smoking it every year, and we're like the third or fourth best team. And so you just know what it's like when you come up against a really powerful side. You cannot stuff it up. You just know you've got to be on, and it drives you nuts when you're seeing like, what are you doing? And that costly turnover just leads to a goal, and you just know it's going to happen. You just cannot. You just want your boys to be perfect for 120 minutes, and it is very hard, and that's why I'm always very reluctant to isolate one or two little things. But sometimes that's all it takes to lose to a good side, isn't it? So
that's right. I'm not saying that's why we lost.
No.
It was like accumulation of like the 5-day break, everything like just. But yeah, those things that we had in our control that we turned over, that is kind of the worst part of it for me. But you can clean that stuff up, and you can look at it and see what went wrong, and and don't do that next time.
Learn next time around. I think we're playing.
Learn.
I think we're playing again later in the year. If I've got that right. So there's another opportunity for the. I think it might be down in Geelong, possibly, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, we are. I remember
Yeah.
seeing that on the schedule. I'm like, they're playing in Geelong.
Which doesn't happen very often, but it is nice to see the Bombers come down the highway and snap up the 2 or 3 available tickets that we've got left for you guys. So even I can't get a ticket, mate.
If it's your home game,
I've got there's 5 in our family, and I could only get 1 ticket for the Adelaide game next week. So I'm dirty. The kids are not going to be happy, but I might take them to the new Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, just to keep it sweet. Let's go through some of the Twitterverse and see what they're saying. If I can find it again, here we go. What are they saying? Let's hear ticks and crosses. So Jackie says, "Big Tick is winning while trying different things." I think. And so the Connings in the ruck and such things like that. Hawkins with his 8 goals, you'll probably see a lot of ticks there for that. Didn't like the fact that we're conceding a lot of goals. He seemed to be doing that a fair bit. Even against West Coast, we conceded quite a bit. But she's also acknowledging that it's part of trying new things as well and learning what's going to work and what's not going to work. And really, Geelong needed to reinvent itself a little bit because what wins you a premiership one year, it's not going to win it. Teams figure you out, so you actually have to change and take a different look and take some different angles. Not Max Rook, so this is another one, says 8 goals for Hawkins. There you go. Big tick for Sam Simpson, or Silk, as we call him down in Geelong. Ollie Henry and Bruin with a couple of goals each. Dangerfield, clearly. Gryan Miers, silver service. Tom Stewart playing another good game. Didn't like that we let Stringer get off the leash. I don't think we had much of a say in it, really. He's a pretty good player, so I think it was a matter of
he was born off the leash.
Oh, he was born off the leash. I love that. That's a T-shirt, mate. You got to get that made into a T-shirt. Jack Bowe's getting injured. Went off with a calf. Apparently, didn't like that. And Gary Rowan looked a bit sore after the match as well. You got to make a T-shirt out of that one, mate. Andrew Daly says Hawk and Gryan. Yep, love the goal bursts to set up the game early. That was great. And it seems to be a bit of an injury curse this year at Geelong. Another cross for another injury, probably another medium-term one. I'm not sure, calf injuries. You've got to be careful with those ones. So Jack Bowes.
If it's Essendon, they'll say 4 weeks, and it'll be half the year. That's what we do.
And it'll be to be confirmed until the day he actually gets named. Ethan Casal says, it's not a ticket across, it's more of a comment. Hawkins obviously great. Gryan deserved more than 1 assist. Love Dangerfield in short spurts. O'Connor had a monster first quarter. Holmes was fabulous and Nevitt figured it out as the day went on. Simpson proved he belongs in the regular lineup. Now, Simpson's been a guy for us. I'm not sure. You may not have seen a lot of him. He's the son of Sean Simpson. He played in the grand final with the Cats in the 90s. But he's been out of the team for various reasons, concussion and a few other things. Played in the grand final side in 2020 against Richmond, but he just looks so balanced. He's got these big clown feet that he pivots on a 5-cent piece, and he kicked a couple of goals today. And first came back last week after like 603 days without playing senior footy. So, and he kicked the first goal of the game last weekend, and the whole club got around him. So, as Geelong supporters, we're really, really happy to see him go about. Now, whether he's there at the end of the year, that's still up in the air. He's clearly come back and playing some good footy right now.
Keeps kicking goals.
And I think everyone's got one of those players that you really want to have them to have an opportunity. And they're constantly injured. And if only they could get a run at it. He's probably one for us that it's just really, he's been in our grand final side in previous years, and now he hasn't just had a chance since then. So Lane says offense and scoring quickly is good. Defense and conceding quickly is bad. I kind of like the fact that we're getting some high scoring games of footy at the moment. So back like the old days where it was everyone was kicking 150 points, it was fab. It was awesome. A couple more. The Chaps Chat Cats say big tick. Darcy Parish put in nice job interview for Geelong. Interviewing for the Cats.
Yeah. Passed.
A bit like when Paddy Dangerfield played his last game for Adelaide and at Geelong, and the whole crowd was cheering him every time he kicked the ball. We kind of knew by that point that he was coming. Across from the Chaps that we'll probably have to give our other bag of chips for him. Oh, okay. Yeah, more. I assume that means more.
More Darcy Parish talk. It's good.
Yeah, more Darcy Parish talk anyway. One more. Last one. Kyle says Hawkins 8 goals. Danger cooking in 64% of game time. Miers best game for the club and our goal accuracy. And again, similar conceding goals. Stringer getting off the leash. And what's the T-shirt again? He was born without a leash or something like that. Something along those lines.
He was born off the leash.
Born off the leash. There you go.
Yeah.
And Jack right. Bowe's getting injured. So there's a few there. So thanks everyone for putting them in there. There was one other tick a couple other ticks that I had that there was one moment where Mitch Duncan, we love Mitch Duncan, premiership player, but goodness me, 10 metres out from goal, he just absolutely fresh aired it, which I think led to a goal from your mob.
Yeah, it did.
You can't.
I remember that.
250 game player doing that. Oh, well, goodness me. And I did have there was a moment where Tommy Hawkins had a free kick or took a mark, and Danger picked the ball up and basically threw it at his back. Tommy wasn't looking. What are you doing there, mate? And the other thing I don't like, and what do you think about this? The player numbers on the Geelong Guernseys during country round. It's got this little, I don't know. It's always this country round number. I don't know if you saw it, but I don't like it.
Is it just like, I don't know why you were the only ones to have the jerseys? Why didn't Essendon have?
I don't know what it's
we
about.
used to have one that had like a wheat sash and the same like numbers, but now we're just like, we're not wearing a country. The country game, I forgot about it. I don't know what they're doing with it. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like it's not doing what they kind of expected it to do in terms of the hype, the build up. I don't know.
It's a Kevin Sheedy thing, wasn't it? I'm sure it was like.
I think it was, yeah.
You know, got to have a round for something. We've got to have a big thing for Geelong and Essendon. I don't know what else we can do. Let's go with this. Anyway, that's fine. Tommy Hawkins played pretty well today, and he's always our ambassador for country round. It was good. It was good seeing a lot of the footage again of Jeremy Cameron and his cow. With the premiership medal. I don't know if you've seen that footage.
I think so. I think I have.
On the grand final, he goes home to his farm, which is just a couple of K out of Geelong.
Oh, it's like in a stable and it's
and he just puts the medal on the cow, and the cow runs off into the middle of the night, and he wakes up in the morning and tries to find the cow, and he's still got the medal around his neck and all this fun stuff. So anyway, that was good. Now, who was your so the Essendon players? Moving on to the next section. Essendon players that played really well. I think I said Jake Stringer 4 goals, 26 touches, 11 clearances. Bit of a shame. Any other day, that's 3 votes. Unfortunately,
he had something like 20 contested possessions.
Yeah, unbelievable,
insane,
unbelievable. Yeah. And we've talked about a couple of others like Wiedemann. I thought McGrath was pretty good from a Geelong supporters' point of view. I thought whenever he got the ball, it looked like he was going to use it pretty well, or find some space, find another player to get it onto, and Parish as well. He seemed to accumulate a fair bit. And we won't bang on about Zerk Thatcher too much, but yeah, clearly he was one that stood out for me as maybe not being in your best.
I don't think he played that badly. I just think he played as well as he could at this stage of his career.
Fair enough.
To be honest.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you don't want to have 8 goals kicked on you. Probably just swap him with someone else. I don't care who it is. Ridley, I don't know. Give someone else 4 goals. Yeah, I don't know if they're all kicked on him actually, but yeah. Anyway,
good on you. You're very kind. You're very generous. Now let's get on to our vote. Let's do our votes. Now this is a vote for the 3-2-1 Geelong players. I will ask you what your 3-2-1 was for Essendon as well, but we'll start with Geelong. So Paul has sent in his votes already, and his were 3 votes Tom Hawkins, 2 votes Paddy Dangerfield, and 1 vote Gryan Miers. Now, I didn't talk to Paul about our votes before we submitted them. I've gone exactly the same. Hawkins 3, Paddy Dangerfield 2, and Gryan Miers 1. Now, what would you say your 3-2-1 for Geelong were on this game? I've got them in front of me if you can't remember.
Yeah. No, I remember. Hey, I wouldn't forget anything about Geelong. I mean, I go 3 Hawkins, obviously. Great game.
Pretty hard to not give him 3.
Dangerfield, I go 2. And then I went Stewart for 1. And that was just based on how many marks he had.
Yeah.
And just anything that was trying to go into our attack, it would somehow just go straight to him. That's what it felt like. Yeah. But I think, for Geelong, especially Miers being the whipping boy, I can see why you would be excited for him to play a really good game.
Yeah, well, he's played pretty
I just
well
didn't really.
through the year. Well, he's probably been one of our better players from last year. Who's every year you get some players that get better and some players that drop off a bit. Well,
Yep.
he's early days this year. He's probably one that's actually gotten better.
Yep.
And has
Oh, good on him.
frustrated us a little bit. And maybe that's because we didn't understand his role. You think, a small forward, they're not doing their role unless they're kicking 20, 25 goals a year. So I
He
think
didn't kick a goal today.
don't think he did, no. But he hasn't kicked a goal all year. But he's actually having a better year because I think he understands his role, and now he's more about setting up his teammates and doing all that hard and making the life of his teammates a lot easier. So so I'm glad to see he's getting a little bit of love from Geelong people, and hopefully eventually from the opposition or from the AFL media as well when they start realising what he's doing. Mate, let's just quickly go around the grounds a little bit. There was a game that just finished a few minutes ago before we started recording that was probably one of the games of the year. Well, maybe not in terms of scoring, but the final result was very exciting. Bloody Collingwood. They did it again. Got up. They came down from about 15 or 16 points in the last, and oh my God, they hit the front with under a minute to go. I think Sidebottom might have just missed a goal, but how they keep doing it, mate. They keep doing it. Are they the real deal or what?
Yeah.
Bloody
That's it. That's a special win for them.
Yeah.
And as much as I hate to say it,
Oh.
and last week, to have that push at the end to smash ours, and then to 5-day break and travel to Adelaide, and then again to have that in the tank somehow at the end. There's something there that they've drilled into them. I don't know what it is, but they finish games so well. You want to be like 10 goals up at 3/4 time just to kind of get over them.
They're a machine, aren't they? So
I
I wasn't convinced on them in the preseason. All my predictions weren't strong for them. I think I'm gonna have to reevaluate around mid-year. Not gonna say they'll win the whole thing just yet because you don't win it. The ongoing joke that they're the March premiers. They could be coming close to being the April premiers as well. They're not too far off it. So they've gone.
It'll just keep going down into the September premiers.
Yeah, so we'll see.
They've won it.
Good on them. There was lots of teams start Melbourne last year. They win 10 or 11 in a row to start the year, and then just fell apart completely. So it is a long season, but they're giving no reason. They're giving us and anyone, their supporters and neutrals, no reason to believe that they won't be up there when the whips are cracking at the end of September. At this point, going all the way back to Friday night, the Port beat the Saints by 7 points. Do you think the Saints have fired their best shot? This, the early season form. Do you think it's coming to an end, or do you think there's still a bit more for them? Are they a contender? What's your read on St Kilda early days?
They're better. They started the same last year.
They did. Yeah, they did.
5-1. Having all these outs that they have, and I know people are going to start coming back in. Max King will come back eventually, pretty soon. So I think they'll play finals. I think they'll play finals.
You don't reckon they'll drop out?
I don't. No, no. I think they'll do enough to play finals, but they're not going to, carry on. They're not going to be top 4.
That's fair. I'd probably agree with that. Now the Lions defeated the Dockers by 48 points. Pretty much a routine sort of performance from the Lions there. Do you reckon they've won 4 in a row now? The Lions. Do you reckon they're going to continue on with this? They're starting to. They're a little bit hit and miss to start the year, but now they're starting to put things together a little bit. Now I'm starting to get a little bit worried about the Lions. They might be the team that sort of sneaks up on everyone during that middle part to end of the year. What's your feeling about the Lions moving forward?
I think they'll be a contender, definitely. I'd say like 4th. They'll finish 4th. They're good. They got talent.
They're good. There's no denying it.
Charlie Cameron's playing out of his mind, and
they
have the stock. I don't know what they were doing in the first 3 rounds, but
bit like what Geelong was doing, was still on holiday somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Still on.
You can start slow.
Still
You can
hunting
get
cows in
momentum, and
Jeremy's backyard.
that's fine. Premiership hangover, that's fine. I don't know what Brisbane's excuse was, but yeah, I think they're a really good team, and I think they'll finish top 4.
Yeah, starting to put it together, and whether they can put it together, hold that form in finals. That's been their big test, or where they've fallen over every year in the last few years. They've been a great team for quite a while now. The Giants, probably the second best game of the round, or maybe the best, depending on how you feel about these things. But the Giants got over the Swans by a point in the Battle of the Bridge, or whatever they're calling it these days over there. I wasn't hot on the Swans before the season started. I thought that grand final smashing was going to hurt them. And I was shocked at the amount of people that were talking them up after they had a win 2 or 3 weeks ago. But now they've lost 4 out of their last 5. Are you writing the Swans off yet? Or are you giving them a little bit more time? They've lost 4 out of 5.
I loved the Swans at the start of the year. I gotta admit, like, I thought they were just gonna come back and just be full of like venom and anger and just like a whole revenge tour. But you can't lose against GWS at home.
No, you
can't get beaten by 100 points or almost, even if you're in Geelong.
Yep.
Like, it just can't happen. So I don't know where they're at. They could not finish top 8, or they could pull it together and push top 4. But yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know what's going on. They had a win against Richmond though, but I don't know what that's really saying
Big
now. Their one win in 5 weeks was against Richmond, so I'm writing them off, mate. I'm calling it now, and I called it before the season started. So I just think the grand final, you'd get smashed like that in the grand final. They're really, really hard to come back. Yeah. So anyway, I'm calling that one early. The Bulldogs beat the Hawks by 29 points. Nothing really much to say out of that game, other than a question for you. Will, when it's all said and done, when the guy retires, will the Bont have more than one premiership medal hanging around his neck, do you reckon? I'm not saying he's going to win it this year, but when he's retired, will he be remembered as a one-time premiership player, or will he go again?
How old is he?
Oh, you'd have to be pushing nearly 30. He'd be 10 years in by now.
He's not. I don't see him winning another one unless he somehow goes somewhere else, which I don't see either. Bulldogs are okay.
They could go on a run. You never know. I mean, it's possible, but not from what we've seen so far. They're not winning it this year. They look good sometimes, but other times, they're just okay. Bont is clearly, in my mind, has been a top 5 player in the AFL for as far back as I can remember. He's just always up there and always being talked about for the Brownlow, and just the way he moves that ball, and he's kicking at 60 metres. It's just gorgeous. Love watching that guy play.
He's a great player. He probably deserves more than
We'll have him at Geelong if he'll come. We'll have him all.
If he goes the last couple of years at Geelong, push him.
Why not? You want a premiership? Come and get one.
Right.
That's what Jeremy did. Anyway, the D's beat the Kangas by 90 points. Clearly, we know the D's are a good team, but should we be concerned about the Roos? I don't want to go on about that injury that young Combin player had, but the Roos did start off winning 2 in a row to start the year, and it's all gone number 3s for him in the nappy since then. Not great. I don't know. I'm not that worried. I think it's just a building year, but yeah, they've had a pretty...
They're doing what I expected, how I expected them to go.
Yeah, just slightly different order, I think. Yeah.
A new coach isn't going to turn you into a contender with their list that they have. No, not this year.
Oh, they probably enjoyed their first couple of wins. That was great, but they probably, as you said, they are probably where everyone thought they'd be, around maybe even slightly ahead of where people thought they'd be. But they're regressing a little bit since those early successes. So we'll see.
I think you like, as you settle into the season, you kind of realize where you're at.
Exactly.
And then you kind of just feel like you don't have a chance.
No,
like it's gonna be really tough. We're playing Melbourne now. Like, they're good.
Yeah.
And that self belief, I suppose, kind of you get put in your place eventually.
And Melbourne did what they should have done. They smashed them by 90 points. And if you're a good team playing a rubbish team or a team that's really just learning and figuring things out, you probably should do that. A couple more. The Blues, another talk about it smashing, mate. The Blues beat the Eagles by 108 points, and Charlie Curnow bobbed up for a couple of goals. He got nine goals.
Yeah, you got a few.
9 goals. Not that many. About 4 marks as well. So they're all from play mostly. So he's pretty amazing, and he went ahead of Jeremy Cameron and Nicole. And I think they've levelled it up now with 30 goals each.
30.
After six games, is that right? No, 7 games now. They go. I can't pick that one at the end of the year. I think it'll still be Curnow's, just based on he's a bit younger, and I think Jesuit might get a rest here or there. And
as you're saying, they might manage him. Depending on where they are and how they're going to finish. Yeah,
but I think Carlton will play finals. I think they're going to make it very stressful for their fans for the rest of the year, though. It's not going to be an easy ride into the finals. I think they'll leave it.
I hope they play finals. Yeah. I really do, because I think they're good enough to, and they should have last year.
Yeah. From a Bombers man, that's very generous.
I don't hope they win a final though. I hope they get smashed.
You hope they get
in the very first final against Sydney or whoever, St Kilda. I hope they smash them. But
a slight off tangent question here. Which team do you hate the most? And you can say Geelong if you want. But is it Collingwood, or is it Hawthorn? Is it Carlton?
You can't hate Hawthorn. They're so feeble and just.
Mate.
Crap.
Don't tell me I can't hate Hawthorn.
There's no point beating down.
I enjoy watching Hawthorn lose more than I like seeing Geelong win. So don't tell me I can't hate Hawthorn.
I know. I'm very close to a lot of people that support Carlton, so I don't hate Carlton.
Okay.
I don't hate their fans. I don't. I don't like seeing them do well. I don't like seeing them do better than us. They've always kind of been a yardstick for us, being like, oh, Carlton's gone past us, so they'll probably think that. Like in their last couple of losses, they probably thought we went past them. So I hate Collingwood the most.
There you go. Well, that's pretty standard for a Bomber supporter.
Just because they're so good and they smashed, and the way they beat us last week, I'm still bitter about that. I'm more upset about last week now than I am about today's game.
You better get a win against them the next time you're playing, because that's going to hurt.
I think we play them the last round.
I'm going to tell you about that for years. At least it wasn't a final, I suppose. So. Regular season games, they're good, but nothing compares to a final. So
we wouldn't know.
One more game. The Suns defeated the Tigers. Thank you very much. The Tigers are cooked. Is it time? The question for you, Rob, is it time the Richmond legends start to think about retirement? I'm talking about your Cotchins, your Rewalts, maybe even Dusty. He talked about walking away a little bit. Maybe he wants to finish with some petrol still in the tank. Is it? Did they have another shot next year, or is it this was the year, and if it didn't work, it didn't work?
Yeah, I had a Richmond supporter friend bet me a slab that Richmond would finish top 4, and I couldn't. I tried to get the most out of him because I'm like, this, like, give me like 3 slabs because this is just the worst bet I've ever heard.
Can I get in on that too?
Like, if I could cash out now, I'd probably get like 20 stubbies.
I hope you get a decent slab of beer, for not crap.
I think that the Tassie team's just going to come in way too late for poor old Jack, so he's going to have to.
True.
This will be his last year.
He might want to be in a coaching role or some club ambassador type thing. Or
it would have been great if they just came along and he could go and I'm not going to say Gary Ablett, but do one of those moves where you kind of old veteran goes to the new expansion club and they get smashed, but he's kind of leading them.
It takes a bit of money and gets a few
but
fans through the door and sells some Guernseys and all that sort of stuff.
Other than that, I couldn't see him. Dusty, I don't know.
I don't know if you want to
Trent
do
Cotchin, I'd take Trent Cotchin because one thing we're lacking is leadership on field.
Yeah.
And he's just got it in spades, but I don't know how useful he'll be on
the
field.
I mean, that's going to be the challenge. I think that's why I'm incredibly grateful for the people that run the Geelong medical team and the coaches and all that, just how well they managed the older players at our club. Because you look at Richmond, I mean, they're similar situation, really. It's just that it's just not working for them. The young guys aren't coming on. They're not finding those rough gems, and the older blokes are just puttering along. And I just think with Dusty, I don't think he's going to retire, but I just think it might be crossing his mind if everyone goes and it's like the next 5 years we're just going to rebuild. Like, does he want to hang? Does he love footy that much that he wants to hang around, or does he?
I could see him retiring in the middle of the year. To be honest,
this year, wow,
he could do whatever he wanted. Like this guy, he can just do things that make you go, what?
I know.
What did he just do?
Mate, I know all about it.
He can do that because he's so good.
I saw it all in a half a footy in 2020 in the grand final. So I know all about Mr. Dustin Martin.
Everything. Like he can do whatever he wants at this stage.
Yep.
He's given that club so much. So
it's
up to him.
3 premierships. They've had a good era, so you can't take away that. They'll go down in history as one of the greatest teams. They would have clearly they would have liked 4, but it's pretty hard to win 4, mate. What can I tell you?
Hard to win 1, just us and Kilda.
Hard to win 1. Oh, one other question before we look to wrap things up. It's a Geelong Essendon question. I've always struggled with this one. The Geelong team of 2007, and take them in their isolation in their own era but who was the greater team in their era? The Bombers of 2000 or Geelong of 2007? And I'll go first. My thoughts still that Bombers team of 2000. I've never seen anything like it. And as good as Geelong were, and some of the records that we broke, and all Australians and all that, so everything we did that year, that Bombers team was incredible. Where do you see it though? Do you have much of a history or memory of that time? Maybe I'm in my early 40s. I'm maybe a little bit older.
I remember it. I was quite young, but I remember it. I remember going for a kick at the footy at halftime and never going back and watching the game.
Wow.
Because we just flogged
Just too easy.
Yeah. But that team, like in a vacuum, like if you're talking about like one season, I'd go Essendon, right? But like over a course of years, like
it's not an era. They didn't have an era, unfortunately. No.
It would be Geelong in terms of like the longevity, because we only won 1 flag.
Well, they might be like Melbourne if Melbourne fails to get another one, and Melbourne was bloody amazing the year before last, and probably should have won the premiership last year, if not for their own bloody teammates fighting each other and various other things that were going on that just derailed things. But they could be another one if they don't win it this year. Then what a waste! They're such a great side. Everyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't like ever like 5-10 years down the track. I wouldn't even like talk about them because we still talk about the Essendon team because they only lost once.
Yeah.
In the whole year, it's including preseason. They only lost 1 game, and it was to fucking. I know. It was to the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And super flood. Yeah. Whatever. But that's why they still get talked about, because it's kind of like almost the invincible season. Yeah.
Well, Geelong had a similar season in 2008. We lost to Collingwood in the regular season. That was it, and then. The scum. Stewie.
I do remember that grand final.
Far out. Anyway, imagine playing in it. Oh, God. It's hard enough for supporters. Imagine being a player that has to live with that for the rest of your life. God. Yeah. Mate, let's try and round things up. Now, quick look ahead to next week. I'm not sure who the Bombers are playing next week. We've got Adelaide down in Geelong.
We've got Port Adelaide.
You got Port Adelaide over there, I'm assuming. So
same time, same Sunday, 1:10.
Oh, there you go. I hope your boys show something. Port's looking pretty good though. 4 in a row, I think, for them. So starting to put things together, and they're looking a bit scary. And Ken Hinkley's probably feeling a little safer in his role. Every year they talk about him getting sacked.
I know.
They turn on him pretty quick, and then they wrap their arms around him when they start winning. But I think it's going to be a tough one for the Bombers next week. I think I'll be picking Port, but I am hoping that you make a good account of yourselves. I think
that's all I hope for every week. Like, as I said, I only gave them 5 games and it would be a success. So I'm going into every game like, if we're competitive or if we're beating where I kind of see us against this team, then
take it.
You can be bitterly disappointed if you lose to Collingwood that way, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
That's it. Well, you're just outside the 8 now, I think. I think you might have just fallen outside the 8. Geelong is now, I think we're 7th and Adelaide's 8th. So the game, I think we're playing on Saturday afternoon, and that's 7th versus in Geelong, 7th versus 8th. The Cats have won 4 out of 5 against Adelaide, so going pretty well. We've won 8 in a row at Catriona Park. Don't lose too many games at Catriona Park, so we can't wait to host you when you come down later in the year. That should be lots of fun. We'll find you a nice seat in the we're in the windy section where the cold breeze comes through, and
I'll get one of the 10 seats Essendon fans get.
Exactly.
It'll be great. We'll have a little club together.
The Swannies had a good turn up last time we played there, and they were very loud. And so hopefully, if you do get a few seats, and all your supporters can get down there, and
I'd love to go.
Have a bit of fun. It's good going to another venue every now and then, and especially a regional venue where it's, the Geelong supporters. There's some nice ones and there's some drop kicks, but hopefully, if your supporters get down there, it's a bit of friendly banter, and you give as much as you get and all that sort of stuff. So
that's right.
Anyway, we've won 4 in a row, and as I said, 8 at GMHBA. Jack Bowes will probably be out for the medium term, I'm guessing. I guess Zach Tilley will probably come back for us, sit in play, and Gary Rowan looked a little bit sore. I wouldn't be surprised if we rested him again. He's that bloke that looks like you're taping him together every round, sending him out there, and he's going to fall. He's somehow got to hang on to the end of the year, but I'd be shocked if he went again next year. He's just looking like this. He's just going to get him through to the end somehow, if we can. And I know next month we've got Adelaide next week, and then after that we've got the Mighty Tigers at the MCG, and then Freo over there in Freo, which who knows what Freo team. Freo, if you ever watch my show, mate, I go on and on about how Freo fucks me every time in the footy tipping. I cannot tip Fremantle. So if you ever hear me tipping Fremantle, you know what to do, don't you, Rob? You know what to do.
Load up.
Just load up on the opposite. It's going to happen. And then rounding out the month is GWS. So I'm feeling pretty good that Geelong will probably be on an 8-game winning streak after this.
They should be.
Adelaide will be the big one, clearly. But we've beaten them quite a few times down at GMHBA. So, yeah, we should be fine. We won't smash them off the park. We never do down at GMHBA. But we'll get the job done, I'm guessing. By 3 points is my prediction.
It's all coming together for Geelong, isn't it?
It's all coming together again. It's happening. We haven't gone back-to-back for 70 years. So I know, geez, that sounds a bit selfish. Like, look at me. Oh, I haven't gone back-to-back. No, but it would be very nice to go back-to-back. I could. Yeah. No, I saw Joel Selwood get his premiership last year, and I always said, if that's where it ends, I'm happy with that. Like I always wanted to see him lift the Premiership Cup as a captain, and after missing out so many times, and it was a fairy tale ending. And anything from here is just an absolute bonus. But yes, it would be nice to go back to back. It would be fantastic. Are you going to pick the Bombers? Are you feeling like you got a good chance against Port Adelaide, or you think, oh shit, another tough one? What's your thoughts?
Look, I'm not going to. I wouldn't pick Essendon if I had money on it, because I don't think it'd be smart. But I think we can beat them. I think we play really well at Adelaide. Yeah. I remember going there and watching them at Adelaide Oval beat Adelaide just out of nowhere on a Saturday night a few years ago. I think we play it really well. There's something about it. I give us a chance. Especially with a decent break. You got a couple of players that we rested for this game coming back. Jake Stringer's in the form of his life. He's kicking goals for fun. Wiedemann's kicking goals for fun. I mean,
9 goals out of those two. Yeah,
I'd back us in.
Well, mate, if it makes you feel any better, I think you've got to. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bombers won. I don't think I'll pick them, but I would not be shocked at all as if they turned up on. Was it the Sunday, did you say? The Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they turned up and knocked off Port. And I tell you what, it'd be funny looking at all those Port supporters cracking the shits and all the Port players pointing fingers.
They don't do that.
Not at all.
No, they're fine in Adelaide. There's fans over there.
Mate. Rob, it's
It's
been
all
an
good.
absolute pleasure having you on the show. I really appreciate you coming on. You're a bigger man than I am. I don't know how I'd go going on an opposition supporters podcast after a loss, but I really appreciate it, mate. And thank you. I know we were talking a few weeks back about trying to make this happen, but thank you very much. Now, if anyone's watching the show and they got to the end and they want to know, we're going to find out more about this Rob bloke. Tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, mate.
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. It's called Herbatron. Yeah, I used to make a video every week about Essendon, just recapping the game, putting it to music, adding jokes, whatever.
Yep.
Just like a take on how I feel about the game. I'm doing it less this year, but you can still go there and look at all the old videos, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's great.
And keep tuned. Stay tuned. There might be new videos.
I do enjoy a
coming
lot of
soon.
your videos, mate. I've seen a few of them, so they're quite fun. So check him out. Are you on the socials at all? Are you on Facebook or Twitter or Insta or anything like that?
I am on Facebook.
Yep.
I think I changed it to Herbatron.
Ah, okay.
Yep. So if I guess if you search Herbatron, there's not going to be that many things. It should come up. Twitter, same thing, Herbatron. I think I'm like at Herbatron23.
Beautiful.
Because for whatever reason, Herbatron was taken.
Oh no.
Fancy that.
Some other Herbatron YouTuber out there or whatever.
Yeah. Or someone that likes grass. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's like, I think I have TikTok, Herbatron on TikTok.
Very nice.
But yeah, it's pretty barren at the moment. I think Twitter would be the primary one that I'd recommend to go to, and then Facebook secondary, and then YouTube. But keep an eye on YouTube. I don't know. I'll put a video up soon.
We'll see. I'll keep it. I think I'm subscribed to that one, so I will keep an eye on that one, I'll put some links to your channel on the show notes to this video as well, mate. Thank you again for coming on, and thank you for your boys for putting up such a big effort today. Not letting us, not having us. The Cats walk all over them. I think they put in a good performance, and they should be proud of themselves. And it's a development year for the boys. And as I said, I think they'll go pretty well. But yeah, I don't think you should be disappointed. With 8 or 9 or 10 wins or something like that either. So it's all good. As I always say, as I finish this show, go Cats. I don't know. Do you want to end with something from the Bombers? Go Dogs.
No, not really.
Not really.
Jake Stringer is the best player in the world, and he always will be.
Yeah, and what was the I can't remember the name of that T-shirt. It was
He was born off the leash.
Born off the leash. Get yourself that. We'll have to get that T-shirt up and running. I might buy one. I'll be the first one to buy one, mate.
I'll hand draw it on black T-shirts.
Beautiful,
with
mate.
White marker.
Love that.
I'll sell it for $50.
Thanks, everyone. See you on the next one. Take it easy.